Hi everyone. Good morning and good afternoon for those of you who are in other parts of the world, and welcome to this session. I'd like to request you all to please put your mics on mute. The session is going to be recorded, so it will be available to you later as well. Okay, so then moving on, we're here to talk about IP administrative support services that Questel offers. These are generally known as docketing, paralegal services in the market as well. And we will walk you through, I'll be walking you through what we offer in terms of, what kind of support and what kind of services we offer. So to give you a little introduction about myself, I'm Thelma. I manage the IP administrative support services here at Questel. I've been working in this space for close to 19 years now, and I've been associated with Questel, working with them for about 5 years now. With me, I have Stacy. She's been our client and for about a good 1.5 years now. She's the director of intellectual property at Ream, a manufacturing company, and she will today be sharing with us her experience of working with us as well. Thank you, Stacy, for joining us. And before we start and move on to IP administrative services, I just generally wanted to talk about the Questel services and products that are available in terms of IP support. There are services that we're offering right through the patent lifecycle. There is a platform that we have where you can actually order these services and know what they might cost, right from the search through to recordals. And then on the administrative front as well, everything from paralegal docketing to invoice management, or actually developing e-learning modules for your internal requirements. We offer all types of support and services. Moving on to IP administrative support. Like I said, we've been doing this. We started this at Questel about 5 years back. But that is just the IP administrative support services, the team that I manage that I'm talking about. But overall, Questel has about more than 100 paralegals spread across the globe, supporting and providing different types of services when it comes to paralegal support services. So we have a team based out of the US, which is about 40, 50 odd people who are simply working on doing filings, that's secondary filings. We have a team based in Europe, which exclusively works on trademarks and trademark support. Then we have teams spread across, which are doing validation services as well. And then, of course, there is my team, which works with all clients on all types of support and services that might be required, right from the pre-filing stage through till grant and any type of ad hoc support that might be required as well. And I will be talking about, what are the different services that we offer or support that we offer under at each of those stages. But to let you know a little bit more about the team, we have a few paralegals based in the US, and then we have the team primarily based out of India. We also have a project manager based out of Europe, for interfacing with our clients in the in the European region and taking care of any specific language needs that might arise. Our team, on an average, has about 5 years of experience and have experience of working on different systems. Be it the the Questel suite of products, or even if we're talking about an Aqua, Foundation IP, Memotech, Patricia, Ophelia, to just name a few. As long as it's an IP docketing system or an IP management system, we would be able to work on it, given our experience of having worked on different systems. And we understand that mostly the rule engines are the same. It's the interface that changes. So it's fairly easy for us, having experience, to be able to adapt to any new system or any proprietary system that you might have as well. And because we're working with clients spread across the globe, who have portfolios spread across the globe as well. So we have knowledge of working on prosecution related support for different jurisdictions. We're not just talking about the US or only about Europe, but we actually work as the in-house paralegals for some clients in China as well. So we understand how different jurisdictions work and what kind of support might be needed and how that is to be offered. And we are able to adapt our processes to meet your requirements. It's not, we don't have processes which, you will have to fit into your systems, but anything that you want us to be able to fine tune or to adapt from what already exists, we should be able to do that. That's how we function with a lot of our clients. For some, we design the processes. For some, they just adapt what we have out of the box, and for some of them, we adapt to what they have already in place. So depending on what your requirement might be, we would be able to adapt to it. And we're working with corporates as well as with law firms, so we understand both sides of the spectrum. So the efficiency that we offer or the best practices that we share generally works well. If we're working with you as a corporate, or even if you want us to work with your law firms and coordinate with them, since we understand how both sides function and work. Moving on, I'd like to take this opportunity to have Stacy introduce herself, and then we would like to have a discussion where she can share some of the experiences that she's had of working with us. So there would be a couple of questions that I'd like to ask her, and I will be asking her. And these are mostly questions that we've normally received while onboarding or while meeting and interacting with clients. So I'm hoping that this would answer some of the questions that some of you might have as well. So, Stacy, would you like to start with your introduction, and then we can start with the questions that I have?
Sure. Thanks, Thelma. Thank you all for being here. I'm Stacy Friedrich. I'm the Director of Intellectual Property at Ream Manufacturing Company based in Atlanta. Ream is a manufacturer of water heaters, HVAC systems, pool heaters, commercial refrigeration systems. And we are a global company, so our portfolios are global. I oversee the global IP function. Current team is 5, including our Questel admin that we will talk about. And I joined Ream about 2.5 years ago. Before that, I was a partner at Evershed Sutherland, doing all aspects of IP. So at Ream, we've got a really robust IP program, probably about 80 to 100 original priority patent filings a year. Current portfolio size on the patents is probably around 1,200 active cases globally, and then on the trademark side, probably about 1,500 active trademarks globally.
Thank you so much, Stacy. So moving on to the questions that we had. So my first question to you, Stacy, is what prompted Ream to outsource administrative support services?
Yeah, so when I joined Ream, again, about 2.5 years ago, there were some legacy kind of programs that were already in place. So I tried to kind of take stock of what we were using, what was working, what wasn't working, and kind of make changes at that time. The team had been kind of, I would say, dabbling with outsourced admin services at the time with another vendor. And so kind of taking stock of that, seeing what type of work they were doing, and evaluating it, I just kind of realized that my team was spending more. It was at the time it was a paralegal we had in-house who was really managing the admin, and the paralegal was spending more time training and reviewing, the work that the admin was doing than it would have taken her to do the work. So that was kind of, I said, let's put a pause on this, and evaluate some other options. So that was when we looked at some different vendors, and that's when we found you and Questel. So then kind of in close succession to that, my paralegal actually left as we returned to office, and that wasn't a fit for her. So we were down an awesome paralegal, had just kind of started onboarding the Questel admin at a quarter FTE. And at that point we said, let's just go for the full FTE, right? We need help. We've got some gaps in our team. So let's just go to the full FTE. And that was about, like you say, maybe a year and a half ago, year and a few months ago. So we've been working with a full-time IP FTE admin for that period.
Thank you. So, so we've been working together for about a year and a half. How long has Reem been outsourcing services in general? You said you were working with another vendor prior to us.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Reem, the legal department, is pretty, actually pretty forward thinking with outsourcing. So in some of our other departments, not IP, they've been using, outsourced contract services or, NDA processing type services for some years. The IP team probably has been using it about 3 or 4 years. But I would say, since we engaged you all with the full FTE is really when it kind of took off, and we're getting, more kind of bang for our buck at that point.
Thank you. So mostly when clients think of IP administrative support services, and like I said at the start, they would mostly think of docketing or IDSs. What are the services that Reem outsources currently with us? Can you talk a little bit about that, please? Thank you.
Yeah. So at Reem, I would say, I mean, in a very traditional sense of the word docketing, we use you for neither docketing nor IDSs, right? So we are not in that traditional category. Because at Reem, we're a very, very lean team. We really rely on our outside counsel for all prep and pros work on, trademark and patents. We rely on outside counsel really to have the main docket, right? The primary docket. We don't really do what some companies do, kind of a shadow docket. We don't really do that. We don't really have the bandwidth to keep up with it. So we really rely on outside counsel for docketing. We do, however, of course, have a database where we keep all of our IP records, right? All of our trademark and patent matters. We would have, the data, the bibliographic information, the mark, the filing date, the registration number, all of that kind of information. We use IP Folio for that system. So when we were envisioning the relationship, I would say I was not looking for IDS, not looking for docketing, but thinking of all these other kinds of tasks that, that I was hoping the admin team could help us with, and which they have been helping us with now for a year or more. And so some of those things are, we have flat fee arrangements with a lot of our outside counsel vendors. So the admin team helps me to do the first pass. They do the first pass of all of the invoices that we receive on IP matters to make sure that they're, correctly, on the right matter, that they are, following the flat fee arrangement, that it makes sense based on the reporting that we're getting from the law firm. It's not, on the wrong matter or for something we weren't aware of or something like that. So that when I go in to review the invoices, my review time is a lot less than what it would be if I was, if I or one of my reports in the IP team was having to go through those at that level, kind of that fine level of detail. So that's one big thing. She also does annuities processing for us. So we have a process where our business units will review annuities that are coming up, and our admin will actually go into our system, to our annuities portal, and make the changes. Like if we were going to drop a case, she'll go in and process that. We have an inventor award program where, our inventors receive monetary awards for filings and grants. She basically runs that program. So she, will pull the data each quarter. We do it on a quarterly basis. She will pull all of the data for all the filings and grants and create a report of all of the inventors, that we then, kind of quickly review and then send to payroll to process those. She does some KPI reports for me that are some of our executives like to see on a regular basis, where we're, pulling numbers of filings or numbers of grants in different business units, different jurisdictions. She keeps up our IP records database, right? She's entering that data. She's also going through what they do, the sync logs, right, where they're confirming that data is correct in the system. She goes through and processes all of that. She does formality document assistance, right? So if we've got something that needs to be signed, she'll either process it. If it can be processed through e-signature, she'll process it with me. If it needs to be printed out and dealt with, she'll help me to get what I need to be able to do that as efficiently as possible. So there's other things, but that's probably gives you a flavor of kind of all the different things that we have her do.
Thank you so much, Stacy, because um, that's a common question that we typically receive, that we don't really have anything in terms of docketing or IDS, or our outside counsel are managing that. So how else can we utilize your services? So that really helps. Thank you so much. My next question would be, how would you describe the level of communication and responsiveness that you've experienced with our team, especially that you have experience in the outsourcing zone? So how do you think it has been with our team for you so far?
Yeah, well, I mean, she's a full FTE, so she spends all of her time working with Reem. So I mean, she essentially, I think we view her essentially as a member of the team. She is in India, right? I know you have services in the U.S. and in India. She is in India, so it's an asynchronous workday generally. Though I think that presents fewer challenges than I would have thought. It's just something to be aware of, right? If you're using somebody who has an asynchronous workday, it's just they're not usually going to be online if it's the middle of their night, right? So it's like you set things in motion and then you come back the next day and they're done. You set more things in motion, the next day you come in and they're done. So that's just something to be aware of with kind of the workflow. But we have regular meetings, so every week we have a meeting to check in. We can have have other meetings as needed. And then, she's incredibly responsive. So, I mean, it feels like, again, like she's just kind of a member of the team. She'll ask questions when she's got them, which can sometimes be a challenge. I think with our prior vendor we were working with, there was a little bit of a disconnect where, there weren't maybe, there was some misunderstanding of instructions or confusion or something, and we just wouldn't get the questions. We would just get kind of half-baked work product and say, okay, and that's why it was taking so much review time of my team. This is, I think this is, much better, right? And I think, Thelma, you're clear with your team to ask the questions, right? If they don't understand what the scope is, ask the questions and figure it out.
Thank you. Moving on to my next question, is there any specific challenge or obstacle, so you've already spoken about, your paralegal leaving at that time, and we were able to step in. Is there any other thing, specific obstacle or challenge internally that at Dream that we might have helped you overcome in terms of resource utilization, or providing support for all ad hoc requirements?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I went through the list of all the things you guys are doing, which is huge. But I would say that the thing that's most helpful is just, I think in the in-house roles, we are just so inundated with, so many inquiries from the business all the time. Your inbox is just, exploding. And, it's just helpful to have somebody kind of keeping those day-to-day things moving, like keeping the backlog cleared out, right? So, sometimes I will get into a lull of, I just don't have for a week. I just don't have the time to go and review invoices. And then I get into quite a backlog, right? But the fact that I can go in and it's already pretty close to the finish line is just immensely helpful, and just kind of helps kind of just keep things moving, right? So that backlog just doesn't build up as much. I think that's what's, as far as Ream, like that's the challenge that we have, just with a very lean team, that you all have been really helpful with.
Thank you. And again, another question that we often receive is with regard to the confidentiality and data security. Do you think that's been an issue for you at all in the past? And how do you think we've been able to overcome that? And how did we set up everything with you?
Yeah. So the way we have it set up is we have the admin set up as a contractor in our system, which I think is, for a lot of reasons, is a really good way to do this, because it just appears to, like, my clients, right, the business teams, that this person is, one step closer to the team, that they're really a member of the team, even though their email address says contractor at the end, but they view them as a Ream person, right? So they have, so she has a Ream email address, she has access into, our IP folio systems through that and everything else. So I think her work is essentially within our system, right? Because she's logging in every day as a, Ream contractor directly into our system. So all of the safeguards that are within our ecosystem, are present for her as well. We give her access, with it. That makes it easy to give her varying levels of access kind of as needed to different things. So we use a lot of SharePoint sites, which make it really easy to kind of give her access to the things that she needs and have, shared documents, but then other things that she doesn't need to see, right, that we don't give her access to. So I haven't had any concerns about that. I think that contractor setup works really well and gets her, that much closer into the IP team and the business.
Thank you, Stacy. So just to add to that, Stacy, and I guess you would agree, we've also started working with the Ream legal team in general, and we have the same setup with them where we've been set up as a contractor. So there is a lot of work which is not IP that is that our team is doing for them as well, and having individuals set up as contractors ensures that everything stays in your domain and nothing leaves the client's domain. So it works really well for a lot of our clients. We do have confidentiality contracts with all of our employees. So even if that's not something that you want to do, that gets taken care of. But yeah, if security and confidentiality of data is a primary concern, then that's the easiest way to circumvent that challenge. Moving on to the next question. So Stacy, quality and accuracy is also something that we always receive questions on. How is the quality of the work? Do you have any inputs on how the accuracy is maintained? Has there been any situation or any instance where you think the client has exceeded your where we have exceeded your expectations? Do you have any example that you'd like to share or talk about?
Yeah, so I'd say we're very satisfied, right? And I think that, everything, when we're dealing with, the volume of an IP practice, right, there's a lot of volume of matters, right? So, of course, there's going to be some errors here and there, but, we have this, our setup is we have this weekly meeting where we can talk about things or adapt processes, or, like I said, she's really good about reaching out if there's any questions. So I think largely the quality accuracy is very much on point. You mentioned this a little bit, but I wanted to tell the anecdote as well. But, we've been working with you all for about a year and a half, maybe about, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, my colleagues kind of started noticing that, some of the work that I was getting done, or having, the invoice review or other things. And they said, hey, can we get, can they do work for us too? So that's what Thelma's referencing, where we've actually added I guess she's a half FTE that our other departments in our law team have access to. And so she is doing more like contract saving. So contract saving into our contracts repository, and some other invoice review assistance for some of our other lawyers and our other teams. So that's kind of how happy we've been with the service. As far as kind of exceeding expectations, a couple things that I really love about working with you, Thelma, and your team is just kind of you're always thinking about what are you seeing, what have you seen with other clients, or what are other folks doing that might be helpful to us? Like you're saying, coming up with even a list of what are the types of services that you all can do. Just kind of that kind of collaboration, and kind of the just hearing like what are other people doing, what are other people using these services for, is super helpful. And then the admins have been working on for us these playbooks, right? This is something you guys talk about a lot, but basically not just doing the tasks, but actually putting together a playbook that describes the tasks that you're doing. So if somebody were, if there was a transition of personnel, or if we, get another IP paralegal back into the Ream team who takes back on some of these tasks, like we've got this really great document that shows what to do, right? What the task is. And that's something that just with our bandwidth in the internal team would be really difficult to find time to put together.
Thank you, Stacey. My next question would be, in terms of cost effectiveness, how would you rate our services compared to the other options that you might have considered?
I think it's incredibly cost effective. I think it's, I'm surprised, almost at the quality that we can get for the cost. So I think it's a really good, like I said earlier, good bang for your buck.
Thank you. And then, of course, one question that is often a challenge for a lot of the clients that we've spoken to in the past. Do you feel that you have control over the utilization of the FTE that has been assigned to you? And do you feel that there is sufficient transparency in that regard?
Yeah, I do certainly. Maybe that's somewhat impacted by the fact that we have at least our IP admin as a full FTE. But for both of them, the full and the half FTE, we receive weekly work summaries where, you can see on the IP side, we can see the work that she's doing, right? We can see that, the inventor awards are being processed, that, all of this is happening. But she also communicates a weekly work summary that just at a really high level kind of summarizes the projects that she was working on and kind of an approximate amount of time that was spent to it. So if there is something that's like, okay, I wasn't expecting a certain task to take as long, you can kind of talk through it. Is there things about it that, where the expectations or the instructions were not clear or something like that? But just for me, I just use it to kind of quickly skim and say, okay, yeah, that, kind of all makes sense, and helps me to remember what she's working on, because I've got so much going on that, sometimes I forget, oh, it's already time to do inventor awards. So I think those are really helpful. I feel like, we have complete control over how her time is being spent and prioritization.
Thank you. And my last question, are there any specific areas or aspects where, you would like us to develop things more or expand upon in the future, or things that you've seen with other people? Is there anything that you'd like for us to build upon?
Well, we're already pushing you guys outside the box with our general admin requests. So we appreciate that. I think something you and I have been talking about lately is maybe like some more trademarks admin type services, and kind of a growing need that we have at Ream for that. So that's something we're continuing to explore. But just that was the thing that jumped to mind for me.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, Stacey. Thank you so much, for doing this for us. And now I'll move on with the rest of the presentation, just to give you all some insight into, what are the kinds of services that we provide in addition to what Stacey has already spoken about. So we do, much like Stacey has mentioned, we do work with a lot of our clients as a part of their in-house team. So right from, validating invention disclosure forms that have been submitted through a checklist, checking for the residency status of the inventors, or checking whether how many prior arts have been disclosed, and whether that crosses a certain threshold, whether the product lines or the business units have been mentioned or not. So doing all of that when the invention disclosure form is submitted, going back to the inventors and getting information if those forms are incomplete. From that to actually preparing and filing applications at the USPTO or at the EPO. And we're going to start working on submitting applications at the Canadian Patent Office as well. So those are 3 patent offices where some of our clients have authorized us to actually file applications on their behalf. So doing the formalities of putting together the application, and actually going ahead and filing them. Um, which of course involves, that we would correspond and communicate with the inventors and the attorneys in-house to get the signatures. In case the applications are not being filed in-house, then corresponding and communicating with the outside counsels for conflict checks and any other documents or information that they might need from the teams internally. That's something that we do for our clients as well. When it comes to docketing, we docket, throughout the prosecution life cycle. Like I said previously, we work on all jurisdictions, so it's not just EP, just not just Europe or US that we're talking about, but the team is well versed with the docketing timelines and the prosecution life cycles of all jurisdictions. Um, we actually do maintain the docketing systems, whether it is as a shadow docket, which is, that the primary docket is being maintained by our outside counsel, and you just want to maintain certain statutory timelines within your docketing system. We do that for some of our clients. Whether if you want us to maintain the entire docket, all the timelines on your system in-house, we can do that too. These are different capacities in which we're working with different clients, so we can customize or configure our service offering to, whatever exactly you might be needing. Um, like I said, that mostly people think about docketing and IDS. So those are definitely two services that we offer. The preparation of the information disclosure statement. We do have a tool in-house to help us prepare that, so the process is part manual and part done through a tool. Um, or if it is actually preparing office action response shells, coordinating back with the attorney, providing the office action response package to them, which includes, downloading PDF copies of the prior art that have been used as projections by the examiner, and creating the clean claim set, putting in the prior art that has been used as rejection at the under the relevant argument section in the office action response template as well. So we do all of that and put together a package and send it back to the attorney for their arguments. Once the document is complete, they send it back to us. Then we go ahead and file it if we're authorized to do that for them at the PTO. We also do prosecution watch for some of our clients, where they give us a list of applications or publications of their competitors, where they just want us to keep a tab on the legal status changes. So that's something that we do as well. Much like Stacy said, we're also working with some of our clients to actually help them manage the inventor reward program. The process, of course, is laid down. It's not something that we create, but if you have the awards management program in house, then we can adapt to it and manage it for you. The reason why I say that, we don't create that is because, every organization would have different parameters on how they want to award their inventors, and how which inventors are to be identified as deserving or to be paid. So those are things, once that have been laid out and the structure is available to us, we can manage that program for you. We also, send out grant notifications or put up information on clients. Uh, Again, if we're working with them as their as their in-house team member, then, putting up grant notifications on the client's extranet site, so that everybody knows that, these are the applications which are now being granted. Or if the leadership wants to send out congratulatory notes to inventors, it helps them with doing that as well. Invoice management, much like Stacy said, doing the first pass or add the invoices on any system that you might have, or if it's just something where where you want us to set up a process where the PDF copies are sent to us, we do the first pass, send you a report on Excel or in Word, we can do that too. If it's on a system, the various invoice management systems available in the market, then we can do it on that system too. For some of our clients, we also interface with their annuity providers, where we do an extract from their docketing systems for all the cases that are due for annuities or maintenance payments. and then go back to the business, ask them if they want to actually make the payment or want to continue paying for those specific records. Certain clients also want us to put together one-sliders where we give them information on, what the patent is, what's the title, how many family members it has, how many of those are still active, how many independent claims, what is the primary image. So all that information is put into a slide so that it becomes easy for the business to take a decision. So that's something that we do for some of our clients too. And of course, there are a lot of ad hoc projects that we work on with different clients, from actually helping them to do migration from one docketing system to another, to doing portfolio intakes. For some clients, when we're doing a portfolio intake, they want us to create each record separately in their docketing system. For some clients, they want us to populate an upload template that the system provider gives them. So we do both things. We've worked on both types of system intakes for different clients. So we'd be able to help you with that. We've also helped some of our clients digitize their file histories. So some clients still have the file histories of the portfolio that they have in hard copies. So we've helped them do that. And a subset of that is that we if you only want us to do document management, that is ensuring that all your documents on your document management system, systems like iManage or NetDocs, if that's the only function that you want us to do, that is ensuring that the folders are created right, that the files are named right, and then the files are aligned with the right record in your document management system. So that is also something that we do. We do a lot of projects on data validation. So let's say you've acquired a portfolio, or there is a certain part of a portfolio that needs to be spun off, then we would actually be able to help you validate that data, ensuring that it's clean. And how do we do that? We would actually go into the National PTO registers, the ones that are available online, and fetch the information from the PTO registers. For the PTO registers which are not available online, and we have a list of the ones that are and are not available online, for those, we'd be able to either communicate and correspond with your agent network and get that information for you and then validate the data. Or if you'd like for us to correspond with our own agent network, that is the Questel agent network, and get that information, we can do that too. So this slide is just a high level of the different types of support or kinds of services that we provide. But like Stacy said, it can be anything that you might want for us to help you with, as long as it's it's not substantive in nature, where we're not supposed to give you an opinion on something. Then the team is equipped to help you with it. In terms of how do we typically onboard, like Stacy said, we do create playbooks, we do create SOPs or standard operating procedures. So when we talk about starting a process with you, if that's something that we've been working on with other clients, we'd be able to give you guidelines on how we do it with some of our clients and give you a framework around that. If you're talking about docketing, then we have a playbook which lists about 120 plus most common types of correspondences that are received from various PTOs across the globe, and how we deal with them. That is, so the screenshot over here. So let's say if we're talking about a filing receipt, if we're receiving the filing receipt, then would there be a deadline associated with it? What are the tasks that we would create in your system? Are there any documents that would need to be uploaded? And what are the other pieces of information that we would update on your docketing system? And so we share this with you when we're onboarding, and we ask for your inputs. In terms of, let's say an office action is received, and you have an internal process which says that we need a soft reminder 2 weeks before the statutory deadline. So that's something that we will build into the process as well. Then, basis your input. Once we receive a completed document from you in terms of all of your inputs, we create a detailed standard operating procedure, which is complete with screenshots of all the relevant systems and the document that was received from the PTO as well. So anybody who wants to work on the process, even if we are not working on it, it would work as a guide for them, a procedure manual for them to be able to process the document basis the standard that was developed. This document is of course shared with you, and it's a live document, so we keep updating it every now and then, and whenever there are updates that are received from you. Again, like Stacey said, we encourage having regular connects with our clients. So with some clients, we talk every week. With some of them, we talk every 2 weeks. Depending on what frequency works for you, that's something that we encourage. Given that we're in different time zones and sometimes in different locations, it helps to have visibility into what we are doing. If there's any feedback that you want to give us, or if there are any challenges that we've faced, we of course communicate with the client, with all our clients daily on emails, but I think it just helps a lot more to be able to have that FaceTime and to talk to the person that you're working with. So that's something that we encourage. Again, if it doesn't work for you, then it's not required, but it's just something that we've learned over the years helps a lot in terms of running the process smoothly and building the relationship. Again, going back to the conversation with Stacey, so we can be set up as as a contractor in house if if that makes it easier for you to give us access to your systems, or we can set up a mailbox at our end where you can just route all your communication and correspondences, and we can work off of that. We can also be given access through VPN, that's the virtual private network on remote desktops. And certain clients actually prefer sending us their laptops as well. So that is also an arrangement which we have with some of our clients, where once we are onboarded, they send us their laptops. So so then it's like this individual is actually working as a full-time personnel on your team. If you'd like to meet the individual before you onboard them, that's something that can work out too. There are certain clients who like to have a background check done before they onboard an individual. Then that's something that we support as well, which we have done for some of our clients. That said, we do have background checks for individuals when we onboard them. So if that's something that matters, then yeah, we already do that. But if you'd like to do it on your own, that's something that we've accommodated with some of our clients as well. And once we are a part of your team, we have the ability to onboard to ramp up pretty quickly. So about 1 or 2 weeks of notice is all that we need. And just to talk about 3 things that I feel differentiates us is, a lot of the system providers would have teams that specialize in their products. But for us, we're working with, so we currently have about 100 plus clients that we worked with on different projects and different types of engagements. And we've had the opportunity to work on different systems with all of them. There are a few that we're working with on the Questel products, but most of them we're working on systems that are not hosted by Questel. So the team is, it is really agnostic in terms of our experience of having worked on different systems that are available in the market, and so we can adapt very quickly to whatever your system might be, even if it is something that that is proprietary that you've created in house. That's something that we worked on as well with some of our clients. The one part that I like about working with Questel is that we do have different teams providing different types of support and services, and these teams are spread across the globe. But it's very easy for us to reach out to any of these teams and get answers to our questions. So we received a request from one of our clients that they wanted to do some filings, under certain new protocols. We were able to reach out, and because we didn't have experience of that, we were able to reach out to our teams internally within Questel who actually do that, and were able to get a response back to the client and connect them with this team which had experience of doing these kind of filings. And so then the client gets to decide whether they want this new team or this team within Questel to do it for them, or if they would want us to be trained on that and for us to do that. So it's really easy for us to get answers to anything that might be happening in the IP space, um, because we have all this expertise within Questel. Like when UPC was happening, a lot of our clients had questions about the sunrise period, or actually doing those opt-outs. We were able to get them the answers that were required, or actually help them with that, because we had expertise in-house within Questel to be able to do that. So we have centers of excellence within Questel, but the great thing about working with Questel is that all of these teams are very well integrated, and we don't have to go asking for permissions to connect with these teams or get them on board to talk with our client. It's quite seamless and happens very smoothly. And thirdly, of course, much like Stacy said, that for as long as you need support, we're able to do it. As long as it is IP, we can pick it up and start work on it. Let's say within a week. But even if it is not IP, we can still help you with it. The only thing that we're not able to provide in terms of support is anything that's substantive. From the IP administrative support team perspective, there are teams within Questel which do that too. But for everything else, we'd be more than happy to, and would be able to work with you on it. So that brings me to the end of my presentation, and can move on to any more questions that you might have. Okay. I don't see any questions here. I believe, Stacey, you've already covered all of them. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for your time. And like I said at the beginning, the webinar has been recorded and would be available for you to view later as well. Thank you so much.